right, this is Quentin at ServiceNow, part of the automation engine solution consulting team, and I'm showing today an RPA demo for a specific use case I was helping a co-worker with for a transport and logistic company. They basically taking care of all the tasks that are required to send a shipping container or package overseas from picking up the container, finding contractors to ship on a shipping container, the container, taking care of the tax document, the export document, and all those things. As part of the process for everything they're shipping, they have an audit process, and part of that audit process to making sure they have all the document that it requires, but verifying the data that they have on their what they call the bill of lading, and one of the official documents that those transportation companies are using. The data from the bill of lading is correctly shared to their partner ecosystem, contractor and things like that. So that's part of their audit. And this involves a lot of manual tasks to audit that. I'm going to show you an example of the system. It's a mock-up, but it looks very similar to what the system they use. This is a system that this logistic company doesn't own or operate to maintain. It's their business partner that they use as a contractor that have this system. And if I log in, you'll see what it does. So I'm logging into it. Basically, it allows to pass an order ID, and this order ID, we're getting it in that process with ServiceNow from a bill of ladder, digitalized document that it could be a scanned document, and we use DocIntel to parse the bill of ladder and a bunch of information. But in that example, I'm not going to focus on DocIntel. I'm showing RPA. So if I click search, it returns a bunch of information, and that information this is what this logistical company needs to verify that it matched the data that they have on the official document. So it's a lot about data verification, data certification. But this is manual today, and they have to have people just matching the data in Excel, going in the system like I did, logging in an external system. And this is just one example. You can imagine they have many different business partners that they use, many contractors. They all have different systems. So this organization has to go in every system and making sure the data match. And there is no integration. We're talking about old school legacy system like this one. So I'm going to close this because we're going to show you the end result when it's fully automated using ServiceNow's RPA technology. So in ServiceNow, we have this RPA hub technology, and for which we can design a robot to automate those legacy UI, like the UI I was showing to you. And here I'm in the particular section of RPA where I've defined a queue, a robot queue. A robot queue is where I'm going to pass metadata to a robot and also have add a task for the robot to perform. And you can see I have 2 tasks pending. So I'm going to open one just to double click on one of the records. And actually I'm going to close this one. And you'll see that there is a content that we pass. This is a previously executed work queue item that I'm using as an example. We pass this information to the RPA robot, and the RPA robot is going to use that booking number as metadata that he needs when he's automating the UI. When he goes to that Meridian web application, he's going to grab that data from the work queue item. That's the way I've designed my robot, but in ServiceNow, we use this work queue item to exchange metadata from the instance and the robot to the robot, and vice versa. The robot can provide a response. We'll see once I execute the automation. So let's see. We want to automate this fully end-to-end, right? So for that on ServiceNow, we always use workflow to automate things. In our case, I have a flow designer workflow that we design, and it has a trigger based on a specific update on a record. It's all custom. It's a custom app, an app engine app with a specific custom table, and we said when there is an update on that record, I want to add a work item in the queue, in the RPA queue. So that's a workflow that's passing a booking number from a bill of lading and then asking the robot to process that queue right away. That's what the workflow is doing. So I'm using native out-of-the-box RPA action to interact with the RPA robot directly from a workflow. So my goal is to show you that we can trigger this from a workflow in a fully unattended way. I'm going to click the test button and select the record that I know will work for my demo. This one, it's a record in one of my custom tables. And the robot is going to just perform the action I've designed the robot to perform. So as I'm clicking on the flow, now I'm waiting on a virtual machine that has the unattended robot agent. So that virtual machine is my RPA robot, and you can see it's connecting to the instance. And the robot should, it take a few seconds, the robot should open the browser, because that's how I've designed the robot to perform that process. It's logging in very quickly and is retrieving the metadata. So you don't see, but in the background, I'm exchanging then the metadata with ServiceNow. So now if the robot is done, I close the browser and ready to perform the other tasks that it needs to perform. And the flow is successful, obviously. If I come back to my RPA queue, I come back to the same work queue item, you can see now that there is a response content. So you can see that the robot has grabbed the data, log into that UI, search for that order ID, grab the data, and send it back to ServiceNow using the work queue item. From there, you have the metadata in ServiceNow, and you can have another step in your workflow to read that JSON payload. It's very easy on ServiceNow to read JSON payload. We have steps in Flow Designer to do this without any line of code. So what we do for that particular customer, the robot is also triggering a workflow on which we have some business logic to compare the data that we get from that remote system and the bill of lading, the document that we extracted information from using DocIntel. So we've double-clicked specifically on how we trigger a robot from Flow Designer, how we can pass data to the robot, and we've seen the robot performing some UI automation, and we've seen how the robot is sending back the data via the RPA work queue item. Here I'm looking at the RPA UI on the ServiceNow instance, and we're seeing the result of that, what the robot is bringing back to me, and you can actually see RPA.robot has modified the field value. So I hope that's useful. It's just one sneak peek of one of the capabilities of RPA. And if you are interested to see how I've actually built the robot, more than happy to record another video.